Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. In this video, we're going to react to a British NHS doctor reacting to American medical bills. So this is sort of like a follow-on from the video where we did the American who, Evan, his name is, he went to a British hospital for the first time because he thought he had appendicitis. And, you know, everything was free. You know, he stayed overnight in a hospital, he was given breakfast, he was seen by multiple medical staff, and I think all he ended up paying was £9, which is the cost of a prescription in the UK. And he told the story of this American young guy who had to pay 11 grand to have his appendix taken out, which to me was insane, considering also that his medical insurer had already chipped in 40k to pay 80% of it. So yeah, those numbers are just crazy. So I just got curious, like, how much does surgery cost in America? If you want to give birth, you know, God forbid you need, you know, heart surgery or something major, what are you looking at price-wise?
If I am paying that much for a hospital bed, I want
someone
someone
keep the bed.
feeding me grapes like this.
Luxury.
I haven't done a collab in so long because of COVID. Hello everybody, and welcome back to a man who won't stop telling you that he sang to the Queen. My name is Evan Ettinger, and this is Ian.
Hello.
Ian, what are you doing?
I'm a junior doctor in the NHS.
Hell yeah, so you are one of our heroes that we clap for and that pays your bills.
I wish it paid my bills.
Man, during the pandemic, every 8 p.m, everybody would go outside, clap their hands or bang pots and pans together to show appreciation for the doctors and nurses. For me, I thought it was just insane. Just give them a pay rise. Doctors here make 40k, 50k a year. It's a joke.
So today I thought it'd be really interesting if I get Ian on and I just talk to him about some hospital bills that we have in the States for some basic things and find out how much certain things should cost or how complex things are. I feel like you've got quite a lot of experience. Yeah. What was your shifts like this week?
I've had 3 long 12-hour days and 2 short days. So, yeah, and I just came off nights as well. So,
and you don't have to do nights anymore?
Yeah, don't have to do any more nights.
Nice.
At least for next year.
Hell yeah. So I'm just curious about
play,
what
mate.
the standard checkup entails timing-wise.
Well, generally speaking, if you want like a full body checkup, usually you go private for that. It's not something the NHS often offers. Unless you're above a certain age. So I think above maybe 60 or 70 is when they would do a checkup sort of as standard. But generally speaking, yeah, if you want just sort of a checkup for your own kind of
well-being,
peace of mind or whatever, then you'd usually go private for that, and that would cost you in the range of about 100 quid.
Wow, that's actually the same as the US then, which is on average about 75.
But the full body checkup, I think they call it a full body MOT, I think is about £300.
Up to 150 depending on. What I went for a checkup for my GP like 4 years ago, and they were very strange about it. So I guess that's probably why. What would the costs be for having a baby?
Well, again, like everything's free. But what it costs the hospital? Let's say you go to the hospital, you squeeze it out in half an hour. There's no complications, everything goes smoothly. The hospital's gonna spend about 1.5 grand maybe for that.
That's it? But what about C-section?
So if it gets complicated, you're looking at maybe doubling that. And if it's a C-section, you're maybe looking at maybe sort of 3.5 to 5 grand for that sort of more complicated delivery.
Wow.
But that's like what basically the way the NHS works is they get paid for things that they fix or things that they treat. So they have to try and budget a way to do that, so that it comes up to a roughly amount that they get compensated for.
Is this why they don't fix things that aren't broken?
Yeah, and it's why there's certain things that aren't sort of budgeted to fix, or like certain conditions that aren't sort of treated under the NHS.
I would love to see a breakdown of that 5k. Not that it's a lot of money, but just to see how much of it goes towards the doctors, etc. Because the doctors don't make much money. So is it going towards the electricity bill? Is it going towards the bed?
Are there any sort of hidden fees though, at all? Prescriptions in England, I know, supposedly.
So prescriptions, yeah, they cost about 9 quid. Although, depending on what medicine you get, that can either be a really good deal or kind of shitty.
So paracetamol.
Yeah, so paracetamol is a classic example. No one wins. NHS pays more money than it gets from that prescription, and you also pay more money than what you would get paid for just in the...
But who gets paracetamol on prescription? You can buy it over the counter.
Just in a Sainsbury's or whatever.
Yeah. So never get paracetamol prescribed unless you're like can't walk.
Is ultrasound very complex? Like, is that?
No, ultrasound's basically your cheapest investigation that you can do as a scan. Ultrasound's super cheap. It costs about 20, 50 quid to do an ultrasound scan.
That's pretty fair.
So X-rays are again about 20, 50 quid. CTs are about 100. MRIs about 150.
These all sound really manageable.
But you also have to pay to get it like reported, and you've got to like slot it in. And like, for example, if you do a scan overnight, then it costs a bit more because you have to outsource the reporting as well. And reporting a scan costs about £100 to do overnight. So,
I mean, this is making sense. Obviously, it's all free.
Yeah.
But the fact that it costs those amounts, I'm like, even if I had to pay that, I wouldn't be as upset, I suppose. What I've got here is a specific bill on birth. Ultrasound is
Here we go. I want to see some big numbers here.
$897.
So, like in hospital, ultrasound scan.
How
is
does
like
that make
the
sense?
Scan, or in GP land as well. It's like the scan you try and do first because it's like the quickest, the cheapest, and the easiest. So,
I mean, that isn't the cheapest. The cheapest is audiology. That's $215. I don't know what that means.
Audiology.
Like a test, I guess. Yeah.
Testing the pregnant woman, see if she's still hearing.
Maybe when they're listening to the baby through the
stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe.
They do that, like,
maybe when they put that ear thing next to the.
when they listen to the baby's heartbeat to make sure that it's not like in distress. But that's just that's not.
That's $200 though.
Yeah, you don't pay for that in the NHS.
$200
while you're there.
In the US, the recovery room when you're having a baby is it's not really a closed off room that you get. It's basically like when you're in the NHS and you get put in that like curtain triage. How much do you think that costs?
Oh man, come on.
Knowing America, probably like $2,000 a night or something.
2.9.
Oh my god.
I just feel like they're charging each other in America super inflated prices just for the sake of it. It just looks like extortion.
Yeah,
You can just get your own hotel room for that much money.
but that's just the recovery room as well. You have to remember that there's also the labor room.
Oh,
Which is
come
$5,000.
on.
So just those two rooms is quite a lot. Also, we're not even talking about the surgery, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a
So,
C-section.
I mean, in the NHS, like you can actually choose to have like a water birth or like a home birth.
You can choose to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, you
That's
can choose,
pretty lit.
and obviously you got to plan for it. And if you're sort of deemed more high risk, they might not let you do it.
Is it cheaper to do?
If
Oh,
there's
it's
a
free
risk
here.
to have it complicated, yeah. I do know, like for some postnatal care, like after you've given birth, if you're not like a full UK citizen, then you're not like that's not covered by the NHS. You have to pay half of that.
Whoa.
So if you're like an immigrant,
What if I was an indefinite leave to remain resident, though?
I'm not sure about that, but I know like people who are like on here on asylum, etc. Like if they're giving birth is free, but then the postnatal care they have to pay for half of that. But again, it's not that much. It's like maybe they pay $1,000 max for like everything.
By postnatal care, are you referring to the skin-on-skin contact?
No, that's
You have to pay to have skin-on-skin contact. So just like dad has, he's taking his shirt off and he just wants to have his baby on his chest. You have to pay for that?
Which costs $40.
Oh, get the
just
hell out of
capitalism
here.
right here.
Come on.
I just love that they could have just maybe included that silently in the bill,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they go like, no, you must pay to touch your baby.
Yeah, it's like the Ryanair of healthcare, isn't it?
The Ryanair of health. Yeah, the entire cost, by the way.
Basically, the joke is Ryanair, it's super, super cheap to fly Ryanair. But if you want anything, you have to pay extra. Like, I think in the case of a plane crash, allegedly, if you want a life jacket, you have to pay for that. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Don't sue me, Ryanair.
For this one was $41,000 for having a baby. So it's like, how do the poor have
I
babies?
mean, that's more than it costs to raise a baby. Or maybe about the same. I don't know. It depends how
My baby
how
gets
needy your
Gucci.
baby is.
Yeah. How much would anesthesia cost? Because in my opinion, that would be really expensive because it knocks someone out. You got to do it right.
So I guess most women, like I guess if they're giving the birth live, they might have something called an epidural, which is where they put a needle in your spine and sort of block all the pain from down below. That's a bit of a pain to do. I don't have an
So it's a
exact
bit
figure.
complex.
It's tricky to get the needle in the right place. So usually you'd get an anaesthetist to do that. So
Which is
I guess
extra.
You'd pay the wage of the anaesthetist for that maybe half hour it takes him to do it. And then you'd pay for the materials to do it and the drugs to do it. But I guess it wouldn't cost more than about £200, I guess.
Oh yeah. It's like $400 for the anesthetist, but also drugs is 8.7 grand on this.
Whoa! Holy!
So the drugs are separate. Just for the drugs. here's a story. A patient comes in. He was chopping some vegetables.
This is
chopping a bit more than vegetables. Luckily, not harming his.
Yeah,
like he didn't chop it too much. He didn't go down to the tendon. It was a bit above that, but he still had to go to the ER. So skin grafts, stitches for that. How complex?
Do you need a skin graft for just a cut?
Was on the bill.
Okay, well, I mean, he must have chopped it pretty bad if he needed skin graft. Like, he's like, ooh.
Yeah,
peeled it automatically, trip to ER. You're looking at around 200 for the ambulance, and around between 50 and 400 quid for the A&E part.
200 for the ambulance is pretty sexy.
And then...
Wait, how much was A&E?
Like between 50 to 400 pounds. Average is about 100 quid for an A&E.
What if it was at like nighttime? That's just going up a little bit.
Tiny bit more, but like it's about the same.
All right.
And then I guess for the stitches, well, depends how bad the wound is. If it's just like something that someone in A&E can do, we might just do it in A&E ourselves. So
really? That's
yeah,
useful.
in that case, like your time plus the cost of the stitch would be like £5-10. So
your time's worth £5?
No, the cost of the stitch. I mean.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Well, I get paid like 12.
Man, I'm just the US version. They're about to just squeeze every dollar.
£1 an hour, like, and then a little bit of bonus for nights. So
do you get free lunch?
No. maybe like once a month I'll get like a few like bits of sandwiches on a platter, but I get there late and it's just like the shit ones that are left. It's not like
you get
nice
just
ones.
ham.
Yeah.
Or
not
egg and
even
cress.
butter.
Yeah. No, those
Just
are gone.
bread, ham, bread.
I don't even like egg and
I
cress.
get like one of those small apples that no one likes, you know, the ones that like are bitty.
Oh, the brownie ones.
Yeah.
So the doctor worked on this guy in the story for 45 minutes, and the whole
Here
bill
we
came out to
go.
£5.9 thousand for a little cut on his finger. What's interesting was they had on the bill here tendon repair, so they had to repair his tendon, even though
For 45 minutes.
there wasn't any tendon error.
Yeah, I mean they definitely didn't repair his tendon in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's 5.9 grand for the.
Honestly, the American people need to actually, do some kind of class action lawsuit against the medical industry in America, because you guys are getting ripped off here big time. Big time. Clearly, these massive medical corporations are lobbying politicians to keep these prices so high, because it just doesn't make sense that, we are paying so much less for effectively the same medications, the same drugs, the same surgeries. I know that salaries are higher in America, but these prices are just, the difference is staggering.
The doctor's fees. It was $14,000 in total.
Yeah, so like
For a finger cut.
if you got it really badly cut, if you really hurt the tendon and you had to go to theatre, max you'd be maybe looking at £1,000. Maybe
I just don't understand how they get away with charging this much.
Do people watch you in the theater? Like, are there like junior doctors like looking over like?
Yeah, so I mean, usually there's like the chief operator, and then he'll have like a junior to help him. And then there'll be like the operating nurse who like gives you all the tools, and there'll be like a couple of nurses, who are like doing all stuff in the background, and there'll be an anaesthetist in the corner as well. So yeah, there's usually a fairly decent crowd there.
Do you ever get tired of the smell of the hospital, like how sanitized it is?
No, not really. I get tired of the smell when it's not sanitized well enough.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah,
like there's my house.
Elderly care wards or like gastro wards, definitely.
Yeah. Would you hear a lot of people that go into A&E?
Any Americans that have had like crazy medical bills, please put it in the comments. Please, like the most insane medical bill that you've either had to pay or your insurance covered for you.
That probably shouldn't be going there for things like alcohol.
So, I mean, alcohol is just horrendously expensive for health in general. Like,
really?
I mean, if you think of it in the long term, like it messes you up so bad. In the long run, it costs the NHS tons of money. But if you're just talking about like the acute episode, let's say some like drunk hooligan comes in to A&E. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that tonight.
It's coming home.
So, like I said before, A&E attendance usually costs about £50 to £400.
Okay.
So if they just need to sober up in a bed somewhere and then go home like a few hours later after getting a drip, that would be
so
how much it
the
costs.
drip. How much would the drip cost?
£5.
A $5. I don't know why, but I assume that if there's a bag of liquids going into my body, that's going to cost a lot of
Just
money.
like a bag of salt water, like.
So you're saying a bag of saline costs $5?
I mean, I'm guessing, but yeah, it's
No, 2
definitely-
liters of saline costs $700.
Oh, get the fuck out of here, man. Oh my God. This is just price gouging. It's like in America, they find the maximum they can charge for something, and then they do that. They don't think, oh, is this fair? Are we doing what's right? There's none of that. It's just, let me get every dollar. every dollar.
But I swear, like there are services that you can pay for now, where like you can get hangover
It's
cure, where they come to your house and
water.
set up a drip.
So that's what's interesting is that if you do it at the hospital and it's late night, $700. You can go to Walmart and pick up a bag of saline for I think $16.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
Just
there we
use
go.
that.
But you know, it's time and a place. It's like if you get the Uber Eats delivery, it's far away, a little bit more money. So you go to the hospital, you really need this help. Where are you gonna go? Walmart? I don't think
But
so.
if they really drink too much and
Yeah.
they like need to stay in hospital, then like obviously a hospital bed where you stay in overnight costs a bit more. So that could easily end up reaching like about 500 to a grand.
How much do you think it cost for that one day? He came in at I think 8 p.m.
8
and
p.m.
he had to. I don't think he stayed overnight, but it was definitely like 5-6 hours. What would the facility fee be to like use the facility?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if you go to A&E, get treated there, and get discharged, I've told you how much that costs.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
the sound of that, he's in there for longer than 4 hours, so he'd have get moved over to like the acute medical unit beyond that. But just for like overnight until the next morning, like hospital beds between like £200 and £400 per night. So,
$7,600.
10
But then again,
times.
the excuse is, well, this is a late night.
if I am paying that much for a hospital bed, I want
wanna
someone
keep
like
the
feeding
bed.
me grapes like this, like while I'm recovering. You know, I want massages,
Massage,
I want
yeah.
aromatherapy.
Oh, also what was interesting was that it also included a drug test, which he did not consent to, but was on the bill for $970.
And was that just like a basic standard urine drug test?
Yeah, I think
Those
so.
are like 20 quid. Like,
Wow, they tested him even though he didn't want one, and they charged him for it. Oh my god.
I think the guy had said he came into the place saying, I'm not on any drugs except alcohol. I'm just very, very drunk and I need to like hydrate. And they went, let's test him anyway.
you could just drink some water.
Yeah, I think that he was far gone or something, and he had a wedding the next day.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it was the bachelor party. It turns out, though, his hospital bill cost more than the entire wedding, which ends up being $12,460.
Absolutely insane. That's like more expensive than like they probably spent in the movie Hangover. Like,
Oh my god. Yeah, just for that bachelor party going to like Thailand or whatever.
Yeah, that's insane. You could literally go to Thailand, get treated there. and come
Yep.
back
Yep.
cheaper.
If you could
And get a vacation out of it.
survive that far. But to be fair, he did get insurance, and so it brought the price down to $2,600. Pretty nice.
Oh, yay! I only have to pay $2,000. Only $2,000.
Heart attack. Obviously, cardiac arrest. I'm hoping I don't have any of those, but hey. Basically, the story is I have a medical bill from a US high school teacher, aged 44, suffered cardiac arrest and had to spend 4 days in the hospital and get 2 Synergy stents.
Okay.
Do you know what a Synergy stent is?
Exact brand, but
Oh.
yeah, he got some cardiac stents. Okay.
How much
Right.
do you think the 2 stents would have cost?
So,
stuff.
cardiac arrests are a little bit more expensive. I guess the price gets driven up as well because not everyone makes it, and the people who don't make it, they increase the price for the people who do make it, if you know what I mean.
Capitalism.
And I guess most of the cost for sort of cardiac arrests related admission comes from like your time in intensive care.
Yeah.
So intensive care is a lot more expensive.
Because you'll have like 3 or 4 doctors like all standing around you and stuff.
Than a normal hospital bed. It costs about $2,000 per night to keep someone
Really?
in hospital intensive care.
That's good.
But that's because you've got like one-on-one staffing. You've got all the special equipment hooked up. Like it's a lot more intensive.
Yeah.
If you had a normal heart attack and it wasn't that bad, and you just like just got treated or whatever, maybe it cost like $1.5 grand, $2,000. If you ended up intensive care needing cardiac stents and stuff, that could be anywhere from like $4,000 to $10,000.
So that actually makes sense now. Oh, just for the nights in there.
Well, like no, for everything, like the heart surgery, the intensive care stay, the treatments, like whatever.
Well, his stents cost $19,000 each, and he had 2 of them.
Oh my god, they charge you per stent?
Yeah, each stent was 19 grand. But luckily he had really good insurance. So after the heart attack, he only had to pay $109,000.
I think I'd have another heart attack.
110K. These numbers are just insanity. Like, I know that salaries, it makes sense now. Salaries in America are better, but with all of this extra stuff you have to pay for, health insurance, sales tax, tipping, etc., it adds up. It adds up, man. I'm not sure if like, it's probably the same it works out to with, actually no, Americans are probably still a bit better off.
Yeah, they would get a heart attack after having the heart attack, especially like he's a teacher, so he had good benefits, but There's only so much you can really do there. So this one's personal to me, because as you know, you helped me out last time I had to go to the hospital here.
I remember that.
Made a video. Yeah. I thought I had appendicitis. I think it was gastro.
Yeah, I think you probably just had a bit of wind or something.
That's what, the amount of comments like, this yank thinks he's gas.
He just needed a fart.
Yeah, I did need a fart. There was a lot of bad farts. I think it was just really intense gastro, but I was told by 2 different nurses 2 different things, so obviously I'm a bit confused. What would it cost to get the appendicitis removed? What is it called?
Like
Appendix.
Yeah. So appendicitis is one of the quickest and cheapest surgeries you can do.
Oh, is that the thing with the pinhole?
So yeah, you try and do it laparoscopically, which is sort of pinhole surgery. That's actually a bit more expensive than doing it open.
Oh.
Because you've got to use all the equipment, and it takes a tiny bit longer. But obviously, it's less complications, it's better for the patient, and it's actually a little bit easier for the doctor as well. Because when it's open, all the guts are kind of going around everywhere, and it's a bit difficult to kind of.
I really hope they're not going around everywhere.
Yeah. The operation itself.
Any like doctors or nurses watching this, like, have you ever seen somebody like open? I'm sure doctors must have, maybe nurses too. Do you ever get used to that? Just seeing like the internal anatomy. The organs, like...
Take about half an hour to 40 minutes usually. Can be take an hour or a bit longer if it's a bit complicated. The equipment, like all the laparoscopes and like, you know, stitches and stuff.
Of course.
That would be about £200-300. The time in the theatre, let's say half an hour to an hour, you'd be spending about 500 to £1,000 on like paying all the staff, the room, and you know, that's like not just like the doctor, that's like the surgeon, the anaesthetist.
This sounds fair.
The assistant surgeon, the nurse, etc. That's everything. So in total, maybe £1,500 max, but it could be a lot less. Like,
I feel like if the US didn't have healthcare like the NHS did, but yet was that price, I feel like people wouldn't be as uproared about it. I mean, obviously £1,000 is a lot of money, but also compared to like $44,000 for an appendicitis removal.
Well, I think people should understand like what they're asking for costs, because a lot of the itemized receipt. A lot of the time people go to the like hospitals sort of inappropriately. Like they don't know actually how much they're costing, like, because that money ends up going back through the system and they end up paying for it in their taxes, you know? So it's not direct, but they are kind of responsible for it. And I feel like people in the UK, just because everything's free, they're like,
oh, just go. Yeah. I guess because it's such a macro level that they're affecting it so tiny that they're like, yeah. Because of my upbringing.
Americans watching this, would you rather keep your system or have our system, where you basically pay around, I think it works out between 7 and 9% of your income annually, obviously split over the 12 months. It all goes into a big pot, and that pot pays for the NHS. Would you rather do that? And basically that covers everything apart from cosmetic, dental, cosmetic surgery, things like that. It covers everything. Or would you rather keep what you have?
And it costs $1,500 for an ambulance. If ever I'm ill, even here, I'm too scared to go to the hospital.
But that's a problem in itself as well, you know, because then...
Oh, yeah. Then
we saw a lot during COVID. People were reluctant to go to hospital or their GP for certain things. And now we're getting lots of late presentations of cancers that were missed and stuff like that. And like really advanced and spread everywhere. It's quite horrible, really. So, you know, I think people should go to the doctor, but they should just do it like the appropriate way, you know, like rather than just going straight to A&E.
111.
Yeah. Or, you know, go to your GP or, you know... call 111 or, you know, whatever.
As opposed to just going straight to the hospital.
Rock up to A&E, sit in a chair for 4 hours because no one really wants to see you because you're sitting there with like a graze in your knee.
Or gastro.
Or some wind.
I felt like that's a pain that I'd never experienced before, and I was like, I'd rather be safe.
Yeah, it's better to be safe than sorry.
And that was my only time I've ever used the NHS's funds.
But that makes you wonder, actually, thinking about it, in America... I wonder how much that stuff happens, you know, how often do people not go to the doctor?
A lot.
I wonder, actually, it kind of makes me want to see like what the rates of like advanced cancer diagnosis are and whether they're different between the two countries, because...
because of that.
Yeah,
I had travel insurance when I got into a cactus incident in the Grand Canyon.
Ooh.
And I was excited because I thought I'd be able to use the insurance, but the health insurance only works at certain practices. So like when I went to the one that was closest, they told me we don't accept it. $450 bill just to remove some spines from me. And it was either that or I drive 40 miles away. So
I remember I actually had really bad gastroenteritis in Japan, and I ended up in a Japanese ambulance going to a Japanese hospital.
Wow.
And they just CT scan everyone in Japan. So like they didn't need to CT scan me, they just did it.
That's nice.
They do charge for it. But even though I was a tourist, I paid like I think £100 or £200 for everything, and that was like the drip, the treatment.
I mean, for a CT scan, That's a pretty good price.
And the scan, the ambulance.
That just seems reasonable. Yeah. Well, I'm very thankful to live here. I like to end these with like, maybe this can happen in the future, but...
Well, maybe the doctors can get paid a decent wage in the future.
Yes! Oh, you're like, we should bring it up.
Healthcare is expensive. Yeah. And we really haven't put much extra money into it, despite the fact that our population's getting older, getting bigger, and that new treatments are coming out that are sort of becoming more and more expensive. Mm-hmm. So if you invest in health, you get paid back because people can work longer.
This is it, and they pay more taxes. It's all a big circle, isn't it?
Economy more. So it's a no-brainer, really. We'll see how that goes.
Thanks for coming on the show.
That's okay.
The show now.
The bedroom.
Thanks for joining me in my bedroom. Anything you want to shout out?
Wow. I mean, I knew the prices in America would be higher, but I did not think they would be that high. You know, just there's definitely price gouging going on. They're maximizing the dollar amount that they can charge for these procedures. I'm convinced by it. Like, I know that doctors make more, so obviously perhaps a lot of the cost of bills goes towards wages, but I'm not convinced that, you know, these prices need to be so high. I just don't think the system works, really. I just don't understand how, you know, it costs so much more. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. You know, I know healthcare is expensive. I know that America has probably some of the best hospitals, doctors in the world. I understand that. But $50,000 to get your appendix taken out, a 45-minute surgery, you will never convince me that that is priced appropriately. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.